Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome and thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free KMET live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. A huge shout out to the team as always. Mitch, Bill, and Sean, I love you. And to our special advisory committee, Bill Morris of UCI School of Business, Jose and Camila Rubio, thank you so much. Don't forget to check out the Jay Kaplan Show also on KMET on Fridays at 3. Today, I have the privilege to introduce Ben Dake, a technology consultant of Blue Ocean Asset Management, for this part 2 of a 3-part series aimed at understanding the landscape of cryptocurrencies and its impact on the future of global financial systems. Ben Dake is a technology consultant in Southern California with 28 years of experience consulting on matters ranging from acquisitions of companies and large property upgrades to the day-to-day management of both small and medium-sized businesses. Ben started to dabble in crypto back in 2013 with the now popular dogecoin, but got more heavily involved in 2018. Ben created a proprietary trading algorithm and automated it for use in the crypto space with different exchanges and uses that to manage the funds of the family office he is a part of. On the business side, Ben is part of the technical crypto arm of Blue Ocean Asset Management, also known as BOAM. Ben is leading the blockchain side of the proprietary products that BOAM will bring to market, including overseeing smart contract development, security auditing, and infrastructure management. Ben is also the CTO of a bond offering that will be using tokenization to come to market in the fourth quarter of 2022. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ben.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Beautiful. So in the first segment, we talked about the very general basics of cryptocurrency, what it is, what it's not. And as we approach this next segment, we started getting into the different dynamics and legal infrastructure that exists within the cryptocurrency space.
Yes, that's true. We had a great conversation. We got an overview of regulations and how people can, why it matters to people, why crypto is here to stay, basically. So, so before we get into it, I do need to basically say that I am not a financial advisor, and the information provided does not constitute investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice. And you should not treat any of the content as such. Trading cryptocurrencies carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Do conduct your own due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. So with that, let's jump into it.
Perfect. So we were touching on, what are the legal protections of those that are working in the cryptocurrency space? So please talk about, is there a legal recourse that exists within the cryptocurrency platform? And do you anticipate an emerging framework for that?
Well, the answer to that would be yes and no. So at the blockchain level, there's really no legal recourse. There's really no legal governance at the blockchain level, but you have companies, institutions that are providing services on top of the blockchain, and those companies are regulated. They have a brick and mortar, or they have they have deep pockets, and they can be sued and all those type of things. So blockchain itself, there's not really much governance in the way, or legal recourse in that level. But you get into the companies that provide services like exchanges and things like that. They can't just walk away with your money, especially when they're based in the U.S. and they're under oversight by the federal government to some level, because they are corporations.
Right. And so prior to that, you talked about potential boards that either exist or are looking like they're coming down the pipeline to help govern some of these activities in the cryptocurrency space.
So with talking about just blockchains themselves, Bitcoin is the big chain that everyone wants to talk about. There's not a lot of governance. There are chains out there that allow basically the holders of those tokens to vote in what's called a validator. You can have like say 20, 21, 25, somewhere in there, different entities that kind of modeled after the United States Constitution, our government structure, in a sense where you can take your tokens that you hold, you can vote for the institutions you feel represent you and what you like to see and your direction, your vision. You can vote for them. They become validators. And then you have a governance model to where if someone or some entity does something wrong, those governance people or institutions can then vote to change things. Which is both good and bad. That's, people want that finality in the blockchain world, but if you have the ability to change things, that could present a problem with someone, but it could also allow institutions to come in. So there are chains that are having governance models. It's getting more and more common because in order to see institutions come in, there has to be some level of legal recourse, like you talked about, for them to feel safe with large amounts of money.
Right. And so to me, that sounds like the democratization of cryptocurrency management when considering entities that are beholden to cryptocurrency users. So, what would something like that look like in terms of the type of entities that would serve at that level?
Well, oftentimes it's the entities that are building the tools, that are building on top of the blockchain. Institutions like exchanges, they come in. They would want some governance in the chain, but it opens up both good and bad because when a holder of those tokens can then vote for a validator, well, there's nothing stopping a validator from buying votes, whether it be paying someone for their vote, and it's totally legal. If you vote for us with your tokens, we'll give you a small percentage back, or we can spend our cash to buy up coins, and then we vote for ourselves. So there is a potentially ethical issue there, but it is legal in the grand scheme of things. There's no rules that stop that. So you can have people buying their way in, voting their way in, but in the grand scheme of things, it allows the average user to have a say so in how the blockchain that they're primarily on runs and is operated.
Okay, that sounds like there's like a whole landscape there that is just in flux and ever changing.
Yeah, it can be. It's there's the crypto space is in flux and ever changing. There's always something new happening. There's new chains that are coming out that are seeing the problems of the old ones and then trying to fix them by implementing new changes. But those changes bring up other problems, and there's always it's a cat and mouse game of innovation, problem, solution, innovation, problem, solution, until finally there's something that's stable.
Well, again, we come back to Darwinism and survival of the fittest, creating something that really works. So let's talk about, the current platforms. Can you please share with us what platforms currently exist to purchase and trade cryptocurrency?
Okay, so purchasing and trading, that would be primarily would be exchanges. So you've got your big exchanges. We're here in the U.S. Kraken, Gemini, Coinbase, Binance.us. KuCoin's a very common one that is talked about. These exchanges allow you to send in funds some level, and you're able to purchase other cryptocurrencies that you want. Some of them allow the dollar, some of them don't. Some of them allow stable coins, and you basically send in your funds one way or another, and then you buy whatever coins that you want to buy. They don't all have the same thing. It's not like I can go to any Walmart and I can get the same thing, or any Target and get the same thing. They all have a different offering of those coins or tokens that you may want.
Okay, and so can you talk about the differences between the platforms and what would make one more desirable than the other for, the average cryptocurrency trader, investor, someone that's looking to get into the space?
Okay, so very common. Kraken and Gemini are the big U.S. based exchanges. Coinbase is one too. They make it to where you can just send some money in, and ACH wire your funds in, and then you can purchase them. The Krakens and the Geminis, they are probably built more for your someone with some trading experience. You want to do technical analysis. You want to look at charts. They've got the tools for that. There are other other websites, other exchanges that aren't as user friendly in that regard. Gemini is one of the only exchanges that I know that doesn't charge any fees for outbound transactions. You can send Bitcoin free of charge. If you send 1 Bitcoin, you will get 1 Bitcoin. Where other exchanges, they do take out some fees to to pay for the services. So it all depends on what you're looking at as a trader. If you want a lot of tools and you're looking at high dollars, then you go to those exchanges. And then if you're looking at I just want to play around and get a lot of different coins that aren't at nearly as in the top 20 coins, you go to the other exchanges that can provide those coins.
Okay, so when you're talking about cryptocurrency and trading cryptocurrency amongst, other types of coins and tokens, are there opportunities to trade those currencies between dollars as well?
So the way exchanges work, you're going to have, like we mentioned, Kraken and Gemini. They are money transmitters in the sense of you can actually ACH money, you can wire money, things like that. I did mention KuCoin in the original listing. KuCoin is not a U.S. based money transmitter in the sense that you cannot send your dollars to KuCoin. You can send your dollars to Kraken, to Gemini, to Binance.us. You can send your dollars there. But if you want to trade on KuCoin, you can't send dollars there. Now they do have what's called stable coins, which are dollar equivalents, and you can send dollar equivalents elsewhere. Tether is probably the biggest one. There's USDC. There's the Binance. Binance has their own stable coin, so you can send those, and you're not beholden to the U.S. government as far as being a money transmitter, only sending U.S. dollars. But us, as the average user out there, we have to get our dollars into the system somehow, and so that would be through a Gemini, a Kraken, a Coinbase, or a Binance.us that has those things in place to accept dollars.
Okay, so then I'm guessing, and I'll ask, are there platforms that exchange cryptocurrencies to various international currencies? Because as we know, there's trading just on an international currency basis, outside of cryptocurrency. Can you talk about platforms that exist that integrate, international currency, US dollars, and cryptocurrency for the opportunity to trade those as well?
Sure. Kraken and Gemini. Again, those are the two big U.S. ones, and they offer international trading. The euro, the yen, the Swiss franc, the Australian dollar, the Singapore dollar on Gemini. So yes, you have access to trading those. It's not a full forex market in that sense, but you do have access to use your dollars if you feel that I want to convert my dollars to euros because I feel the euro is going to bounce back, and I think it's a great time to invest in there. And I want some Bitcoin, and you can do that in one spot. You can take it and you can send it there, and you're able to hold some euros instead of dollars, hold some Bitcoin, and you could buy your Bitcoin, sell it to euros. Any combination of that you can use. So yes, there are exchange platforms out there that allow a limited forex type environment.
Okay, so I know we talked about, insurances, the safety of these accounts, what exactly backs these accounts, and I'm wondering, can you talk to us about, the possibility? Is there an entity that is like the FDIC that backs, these accounts that ensures that if something were to go down or if a hacker were to get in and, abscond with this crypto or whatever it is that you're working on this platform, what are these accounts insured by or backed by, if anything?
Well, FDIC, that's the name everyone knows. The answer is a tough one. Yes and no. I'm going to lean more toward the no side, but it would not be a completely accurate answer to say no, they're not FDIC insured. So FDIC applies to dollars, not to crypto. That's the first thing I'd want to make sure everyone is aware of. Your crypto is never insured by the federal government. Your dollars can be. Now, I say that because if you move money, if you wire money into a Kraken, a Gemini, they're holding it in a US bank account. So that US bank account, and probably multiple, does have FDIC insurance. And if there was some issue with a bank at that time, then that insurance would apply to the holders, which would be us. Now, I'm assuming they're going to have more than more than a few $1 million in cash, and so you definitely wouldn't get 100% of your money insured, but there would be some level of insurance there. But I say that, there's a lot of footnotes in their on their website that says, yes, we have this, but there's a lot of things that have to happen for that to actually play out. So that's why I lean more toward no. I would say no, but it's not a completely accurate answer. Now, other insurance for these accounts, they have insurance third-party insurance companies that will back a small portion of the exchange's funds, what's considered to be in their hot wallets. So if there is a standard, standard cyber attack on an institution, and they come in and they take some of the funds, those are insured by private companies, but it's only as good as the private company. It's not the federal government. They can't just print their own money. And so if the company says, this is going to bankrupt us, we can't insure it, they file bankruptcy. They'll give you what assets they have, but it might not be 100%. So it is still a dangerous field to put a lot of funds in, and that's why regulations need to happen to some level to allow institutions to come in to provide these services for people.
Okay, so you mentioned something about hot wallets. I want to hear a little bit about that. But so how do these insurances, that are being offered through these platforms, how do they compare, if at all, to the FDIC?
Well, they're going to compare kind of in a sense of, from an end user standpoint. We put $50,000 in the bank, and if the bank goes belly up, we'll get our money back because another bank will buy it, distressed assets, and they'll make money from it. The crypto space is not exactly that way. They've got they pay, like, let's say, Binance is a great example. They've got, you mentioned hot wallet that you wanted to go a little more, so we'll talk about that. So Binance, because it's an exchange, people send their funds in to trade, whether it be dollars, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of those coins. They just send it in to trade. So those coins are held in their cold wallet, because oftentimes, they're not being sent out all the time. And so they have about 5%, that's what I understand, in a hot wallet, which is actively sending funds in and out, and 95% of their funds that are just held in a cold wallet that it's not easy to send out from. And so the 5% hot wallet is what's insured. They're not insuring, the hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crypto that they have. They're just insuring the 5 to 10 million that's exposed. And so it keeps their costs down and allows a relatively safe platform for people to put their funds and know they have some level of protection, not FDIC level of protection, but some level. And they've had issues before where it's come through and they've made people whole, and they've earned the trust of people.
So what you're recommending is that platforms that we're looking into, that anyone is looking into to consider, trading or holding cryptocurrency, also hold some type of insurance. And would you say that's the majority or the exception at this point?
The majority of licensed money transmitters are that way. The Kraken, the Gemini, the Coinbase. It's going to be on their website. You can go look and do all your research there. But it's definitely good to know you're putting your funds somewhere that they have some level of insurance, some level of protection that's been afforded to the users. That kind of builds that trust, and that I want to put my money here. I feel it's going to be safe as safe can be. So yes, I would recommend doing research, finding those exchanges. If they do transmit the dollar, it's almost like an endorsement by the government that says, look, we've checked into them. They're as legit as we can check on the surface, and we're giving them a license to move dollars. So in order to get that, they've got to look into you at some level, and that is some level of endorsement by the federal government.
Okay, so as it stands now, who can create a platform for crypto exchanges, and is there a governing body for that?
Wow. No, anyone can create an exchange. There are no rules, no regulations. The rules and regulations come in when you transmit the dollar, or any fiat currency from a government. But dealing in cryptocurrency, no, it's still the Wild West in that sense. So you could have a 10-year-old in a basement in the U.S., a 10-year-old in the basement in Russia. They can just come out here and create a web page. And there are templates. There is code put out there on GitHub to allow you to just create your own exchange. You can create them, and no one will ever use them, but you can create them. Now, if you can then market them and get people to send you millions of dollars worth of crypto, then great, you have an exchange. But create an exchange is only as good as the amount of users that you have. So creating an exchange, you can just create the web page, do all that, but in order to actually have people use it, they've got to send you funds. And there are people that do it. They create fake exchanges. They get people to send them, some Bitcoin. They do fake trades, and then all of a sudden they take and they leave with your money, and they're happy to make $100,000-$200,000 worth of Bitcoin. So they do have that, and it's the Wild West in a sense, because there is no governing body that approves exchanges. But if you do have that money transmitter license, that is like I said, almost an endorsement by the government that says, look, they're as legit as they can be from our perspective. So here's their license to transmit our dollars.
And so, can you just give a little brief overview of what that money transfer license, what are they taking into account? What are the requirements when they're offering them to these other cryptocurrency platforms?
Well, there's a lot of things they've got to do. It's basically you've got to, Binance.com. Back in the day, if people that were if it was trading, Binance.com shut down and said we will not shut down to U.S. users. They said we will not accept U.S. users because we don't know anything about you. You could be doing money laundering, all kinds of stuff. So what they did was they said we're going to create Binance.us, and then in order to set up an account, you've got to put your driver's license, you've got to put in all these different things that allow us to know who you are. So when they did that, the government said, okay, now we'll let you accept U.S. users. You'll provide all this information to us, and so that would be a step to get that money transmitter license to be able to provide what's called KYC and AML, know your customer and anti-money laundering, that information to the federal government if requested. So that's one of those things that kind of has to happen in order for the government to grant those things. And more on the money transmitter license is a little outside of my scope of knowledge. But if they have that, that means that they've gone through some level of vetting, and the government, whether it be the U.S. government or some other government, they will let them transmit the fiat currency.
So, are there additional requirements, licenses, or mandates that are necessary to develop a platform to exchange crypto to dollars?
Um, it's crypto to dollars is that money transmitter license. That's where people really come back to. Now, dollar equivalents, that's a different story. You don't have to. You can, on Kraken, Gemini, Coinbase, they all have Tether USDT, which is a dollar equivalent. So you could send your dollars in there. You could trade them for Tether, and then you could send it off to a myriad of the hundreds of exchanges that are out there, and it acts as a dollar. It's not the dollar, but it acts at a 1-to-1 ratio with the dollar. So if Bitcoin is trading at $30,000, you could buy it for 30,000 US dollars, or you could buy it for 30,000 USDT, which is the Tether cryptocurrency equivalent. And the USDT is accepted on almost every exchange out there, so that people can use a dollar equivalent that is supposedly there's both sides of that story. It's supposedly backed by actual dollars or assets that have that value.
Okay, so what platforms have you seen exchanges that allow, moving between crypto to dollars to international currencies? Which would you consider to be a more dynamic and user-friendly platform?
Well, there's Kraken and Gemini. Again, they both have those are the big ones that would facilitate the international transfers. Kraken is a little more user friendly on their graphs and their technical analysis type tools. But Gemini, again, those no fees for outbound transfers is something that really adds up when you're looking at sending your cryptocurrency out to maybe your own wallet or to other exchanges. Because they can charge, other exchanges can be charging between 10, 20, $30 for a transaction sometimes. So if you're sending $100 and you're paying 20, well, that's 20% in fees. Now, if you're sending $10,000 and you're paying $20, well, that's not that big of a deal. Whereas Gemini, there are no fees for outbound transfers, Bitcoin, Tether, whatever it happens to be, which is a nice thing. So it all depends on what someone wants to do with their trading style and which one they end up choosing.
Wow. Okay. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of different options, and those fees really are important, right? Because you think sometimes fees are based on a percentage of money movement, but a lot of times they can also be flat fees. So, generally speaking, what have you seen more of?
Well, the fees can be really really hard. dealing with DeFi and Ethereum. That's one of the things that really people get in. They have they don't want to pay so many fees. So Ethereum is one of those things that we've got to be very careful on in talking about fees and how it will play into the community.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to break. For those listening, I'm Yvette Walker on Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV, talking to Ben Dake, a technology consultant of Blue Ocean Asset Management, for this part 2 of a 3-part series aimed at understanding the landscape of cryptocurrencies and its impact on the future of global financial systems when we return.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs a blood transfusion. Be on the giving side. Livestream Blood Bank supports patients in 80 Southern California hospitals. Call 1-800-TRY-GIVING for more information and to set an appointment.
City of Hope is driven to making a difference in the lives of people with cancer and diabetes. We accomplish this by conducting innovative research and providing outstanding care. If you or a loved one has received a cancer diagnosis, go to cityofhope.org to learn more about how our innovative approach could change your outcome.
Cal State San Bernardino is home to the only school of entrepreneurship in California. With globally ranked degree programs, you can start your journey today to become a successful entrepreneur. Learn more and connect at entre.csusb.edu.
Ontario International Airport is onto a better way to fly with over 65 daily non-stop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Hi, I'm San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes. If you're looking to start an exciting career in law enforcement and make a difference in your community, we are hiring dispatchers, nurses, deputies, laterals, and many more. For a complete list of our jobs and more information, visit sheriffsjobs.com.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Welcome back. For those listening, I'm Yvette Walker on Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV, talking to Ben Dake, a technology consultant of Blue Ocean Assets Management, for this part 2 of a 3-part series aimed at understanding the landscape of cryptocurrencies and its impact on the future of global financial systems. Thank you again for being with us, Ben.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Beautiful. So before the break, we talked a little bit about the various platforms that exist for exchanging cryptocurrency, how that works in the dynamics between dollars and foreign currencies. And we started to touch on the dynamic of fees, percentages versus flat fees for these transactions.
So yeah, so let's pick it up there. Talking about fees on the Ethereum network is where we were before the break, and Ethereum, that was was in the crypto news for the longest time, because if you want to send $20 worth of Ethereum, it can sometimes cost you $20 worth of Ethereum to send that, and it can sometimes cost you $1.50. So the fees, they jump around, and dealing with, we talked a little about DeFi on the last episode. DeFi, decentralized finance, is a very automated, and so you're constantly sending transactions back and forth, and every single transaction requires $1 to $30 to $100 worth of what's called gas to facilitate that transaction. And it's very hard to run a business when your fee structure is changing all the time. You're running a business and your cell phone bill is $50 a month one time, and then it's $400 the next month, and nothing has changed. So it's hard to structure a business that way. So fees are extremely important in how they're managed. And so Ethereum is trying to fix that to some extent. But we talked about Gemini and how they don't have fees for outbound transfers, which is nice. They make their money on the exchange, and that if you send one Ethereum, you'll get one Ethereum on the other side. So, fees on the Bitcoin network, fees on the Ethereum network, they get you one way or another. And so, it's one of those things that planning a structure, planning a business, moving coins around, everything requires a little bit of gas. Now, there are networks that don't. There are networks that will basically pay your fees for you. Going back to those governance models, those networks normally pay your fees for you, and they're very small. So, they're trying to get that free transaction mentality. That's coming, but it's in the big networks, Ethereum and Bitcoin, nothing is free. There is no such thing as a free lunch on those networks.
Right, Tim Stoffel, right?
Mhm.
So, as it stands now, who can open a Kraken, Gemini, Binance, Coinbase, or KuCoin account, and what is needed to do so?
Well, to open an account on the ones with the money transmitter license, so everything you mentioned, except for KuCoin. KuCoin is a little different in that regard. But for the other ones, basically you go to the website, you put your email address in, you sign up. They'll verify your email. You give them a cell phone number. They text you a code. And then there's different levels once you get signed up. If you want to be able to ACH dollars, you're going to need to provide your driver's license or a passport or a utility bill or the standard levels of verification. And then KuCoin, on the other hand, is you sign up with your email and they'll let you transmit up to maybe 1 Bitcoin worth a day is what they'll let you withdraw. But they only deal in cryptocurrency. They don't deal in any sort of fiat. So the ones that are more structured, the ones that are more regulated, they require that driver's license, that passport, things along those lines. But other ones, a lot of the other ones that don't have the money transmitter license, they are a little more lax. And you bring in crypto, you trade it, you can take out crypto, but we will limit you to a certain level, and that you can provide verification like driver's license and things like that to up your level on those other exchanges.
So, who on these platforms is in charge? Is it who or is it what? I should ask, is in charge of vetting new accounts to ensure their legitimacy on these platforms?
So the new accounts can be, personal. They can be corporate. Some of the exchanges allow corporate accounts with sub accounts for different departments or different traders inside of a company, things like that. So when you set up an account, there's a lot of automation that happens. They scan your driver's license. They pull the ID out because you're taking a picture of the front and back. They're pulling all that information. The computer's going to verify it to other things. But then it's going to throw red flags on certain things that need to be looked at by a human, and then they'll process those a little closer. And then a human does look at it. There's human eyes that are put on it once it's been established and gone through the initial computer check. Then once that's done, then a person looks at it and says, "Yes, everything looks legitimate here," and they open the account up. So it's done both computer and person.
Right. And so I just opened a couple of accounts recently and I saw that, you can easily open up an intermediate account, but in order to have it verified or have a verified account, like you said, you do require, the front and back of your driver's license. You want to see like an actual headshot from your computer or from your device. And in order to go even to the next level, they want to see that there's actually some type of fund already put or funds deposited into the account is what I had seen.
Yeah, they'll want you to link a bank account. They'll want to, because when they link that bank account, now we've got a driver's license. We can verify the name on the bank account. Everything checks out, and they don't want to be liable for money laundering, and rightfully so. A business doesn't want to be a part of that. They want to run their business, and so they do everything that they're required to do for that money transmitter license, so they can keep their license and they can provide a service to everyone out there. So linking your bank account is just another way of verifying you are a U.S. citizen. You've gone through all of those steps to create the bank account. It's just another verification of who you are.
Right. And so anyone can basically go on, register, and open account. Is that what it sounds like? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, pretty much. You can open up an account now. Where you go, it all depends on your trading style. But yeah, anybody can open up an account and they can start buying crypto with their dollars at any point. It's open to anybody.
And there are no age restrictions, nothing like that. You don't have to be 18, 21, nothing like
Well,
that.
you definitely you need a driver's license. There are certain things. I do know of people that the kids these days know more than the parents oftentimes, and so the parent sets up the account and then gives the kid access to it and says, I'll trade you, I'll give you $500 and see what you do. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do. I'm just saying I have heard of that happening before, and people do it and they get their kids involved because they feel their kids know more about crypto than they do, and so they just start on that process. So there are restrictions, and when you go to the website for the exchange, they lay all those terms and conditions that no one ever reads. But they're all laid out there for people to look at, and they do lay out the age restrictions and different things.
So in addition to, let's say, a basic, driver's license or an ID, are there different types of information or documentation that is required to open, a crypto account for the various types of platforms when you're talking about business versus personal?
Yeah, business is definitely going to need different levels. They're going to need all of the stuff for personal for every entity or every person that has more than I think 10% ownership, or any entity that is the primary decision maker or controls the bank account. They're going to need a lot more. It's a lot more complicated to set up a business account. Definitely starting off. If someone's interested in getting into crypto, it's easy to start with Gemini, Kraken, Coinbase, Binance US at a personal level, a driver's license, maybe a utility bill, passport. It's really all you need to get going. You go to the corporate level, that's a little more involved. That's going to take days. I'm currently in the process of setting up another corporation, and it's been a week, and I'm still waiting to hear back because they look at those a little more thorough, and there's a lot more documentation that needs to be submitted in order for those to be vetted. People are pretty easy.
Okay, perfect. So, in addition to everything that we already talked about, I also recently learned that there are actually opportunities to earn cryptocurrency through gaming, right? So, I have three teenagers, two of them are teenage boys that love to game. So, that's how I learned about it. Are there additional opportunities to earn crypto as well, in addition to gaming?
Well, yeah, gaming is one of the ways that crypto is actually going to probably come into your home in the gaming world. There's ways of, people play certain games and they earn badges or they earn, items, swords, shields, whatever you would earn. And there's going to be a common way of selling those to cryptocurrency to move them over to a different game in the sense that you can have a common currency. But to answer more specific on your question about other ways besides gaming, there are apps that while you drive around, they want to data mine your location. And so what they do is you have your phone plugged into your car. You're driving around, and the roads and freeways are broken down into squares, and you just push the little square, and as you drive over it, it knows where you are, and you push it, and it gives you a small amount of cryptocurrency in your account. And you can just keep driving, keep pushing the button randomly. You can, once you've done it a while, you can set it to what's called auto mine, and it'll just every box you're in, it'll just start adding. Now we're talking, fractions of pennies, for this, but it adds up over time. And so there are ways that you can earn cryptocurrency through the gaming world, through apps. I'm surprised we don't have a Pokemon Go equivalent in cryptocurrency where we've got this augmented reality where a Starbucks can pay an advertising agency to put a hundredth of a Bitcoin in front of their store location to bring a bunch of people in, and you have to mine it. And there's so many opportunities out there. It's all about follow the dollar. It's all about getting more eyes on your business, and people will use cryptocurrency for that. And we saw the Pokemon Go craze. People were just in herds running up and down the street trying to catch them all, and it was kind of funny to watch. But you see that mentality, and business people are going to be looking at that, going, "How can I monetize this?" And cryptocurrency is kind of along those lines. You can definitely easily monetize it. Using augmented reality, using games, using apps to drive that data mining that people need to get eyes on their product.
Right. And so it's basically all about driving traffic. And I'm sure what it is that you're talking about in terms of using this as a marketing tool to do so is right on the horizon.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's going to come out any moment now. So, are cryptocurrency accounts necessary to collect these offers as well?
So, it could go one of two ways. One, it's going to be, when you sign up on your phone, you open the app, whatever app you've got to give you crypto. You can log in with your email address, let's say, email and password, and they'll probably, if you do that, they will probably act as your custodian. You sign in with your email and password on another device. You see your account balance, and then at some point you can probably redeem those coins. They'll send them to an address that you choose, using the verification that you logged in with your username and password. But if when you set that, when you open up that app and you set it up, it's going to give you potentially a mnemonic phrase, or it's going to give you a private key via a QR code. Then that becomes your access. And yeah, it's an account at that point on the blockchain that they'll just put money in. And if you don't back that up, if you lose that, then you've kind of lost your funds. So, it's very important to back those phrases, those keys up. So it can go either way, depending on what that company, that app is doing for their business model.
Right. Okay. So, since there are various ways to invest in these assets, please talk about tools that exist to protect those in cryptocurrency.
So tools that exist, there are, that's a tough one, because the blockchain itself is built to be resilient, built to be strong. Then you've got exchanges that are built on top of that, and that's the potential where the weak spot is, because it's a corporation, it's people involved. So tools, I would go with maybe the exchange itself is a good tool, because they do have those levels of insurance privately that kind of help people navigate. They make their web pages friendly and easy to go and buy, because they want your business. They want via commissions. Hardware wallets are another thing for those that are more advanced, that want to maybe store their own crypto, do be a self custodian. Hardware wallets are kind of a tool that allow you easy access to your funds. But as far as tools are concerned, physical would be a hardware wallet, and more virtual would probably be the exchanges themselves are great tools to purchase and store if you're not that versed in how cryptocurrency is held and managed.
Okay. So, what recommendations would you make to those that have these accounts to secure their wallets or accounts? And please talk about the more common ways you have heard about people losing access to their wallets and accounts.
Okay, so basically, when you sign in, we'll go very simple. You want to start off with a Kraken account, a Gemini account. They're going to, when you first set it up, they're going to do what's called 2FA. Most people are familiar with that now, to where two-factor authentication. Sometimes it can be via a text message. Here's a 6-digit code, a 9-digit code. Sometimes people use Google Auth, which is Google's authorization tool. There are physical devices that are where you actually have to touch them. They're plugged into your computer via USB port, and you have to physically touch them to let them know that, yeah, I'm here, I'm working on it. It says, you got 3 seconds to touch this. So there's some level of two-factor authentication that will protect your exchange account. Now, dealing with wallets and things like that, which is, people don't really lose their exchange account because they can call the exchange and they can get help. People lose their access to their wallet. So, take a scenario that, that's been in the news multiple times. You've got a kid who, let's say a 16, 17-year-old kid says, what, I want to get this. I want to mine. I've got nothing else to do. They start mining this cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. No one knew really what it was, and they started mining it, and they got, 1,000 of them. And it's like, wow, it's worth $10, and nobody really cares. They didn't back up their keys or nothing. And then, their computer crashes, or their parent throws the computer out or something, and they look, oh, I had 1,000 Bitcoin, and now it's worth, $3 million, or whatever the price would be. There's news stories where they go out and look, I'll give you $1 million, shut down the yard where the trash is, and let me go find it, and things like that. So people lose it because they don't back up their keys, they don't back up their mnemonic phrases, things like that, and that have become very common now. But back when Bitcoin really wasn't anything, nobody cared about backing it up because they didn't feel it was that big of a deal. And now people are very sad that they didn't back up their keys.
Right. And so there's also a crypto lore that's floating around out there named Bitcoin Pizza Day. Can you please go into that and talk a little bit about what that means in this landscape?
Well, Bitcoin Pizza Day just happened. It was May 22nd. The year was 2010. It was just the anniversary that passed. So Bitcoin Pizza Day was kind of the first known public use case for Bitcoin and a tangible good, in a sense, pizza. So there was this Bitcoin talk forum where this guy says, "Hey, I want pizza. I'm willing to give 10,000 Bitcoin for a pizza. Who's willing to do that?" And it took him a day, but some other user came on and said, "You know what? I'll do it." And the value, just to put it in perspective, the value at that time, 10,000 Bitcoin was between $35 and $40. That would be the estimated, dollar equivalent at that time. So, some guy said, "Yeah, I'll do that," and brought over the pizza. Ended up being Papa John's pizza, and they did the transaction, and everybody went about their day. And now that would be worth a lot of money. And so it's kind of memorialized as Bitcoin Pizza Day. It is May 22nd, and the year it happened was 2010.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure that person is the person who accepted it is very happy if he still has his wallet and his keys,
If
right?
he still has the wallet and keys,
That's
absolutely.
right. So, are there third party companies or platforms that have developed security tools to ensure that funds are safe, Ben?
Well, funds are safe. That's a very it's a hard one to answer. So, third party is something that I'm very hesitant on, because the third party, as far as the average person is concerned, would be the exchange. If someone, we rules are rules across the board. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If I were to come on and say, "Hey, let me help you secure your banking information. Just give me your password, and I'll help you secure it," we'd look at that and go, "No, that doesn't sound right." And a third party tool could, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, who this company is. I mean, if it's your first day in crypto and you're like, "I'm looking for the best and way of securing myself," you're susceptible to all kinds of potential fraud and people out there. I mean, if it was your first day on the internet and you set up an email account and you're going to go check it for the first time, and all of a sudden you see that there's a Nigerian prince that wants to give you a bunch of money if you'll just help him out a little bit. I mean, we all know that's the oldest scam in the book on the
Right.
email side. But if it's your first day on the email, you're not going to know that. You're going to think you hit the jackpot and you really found the Nigerian prince that really wants to give you, tens of millions of dollars to help him out to move this fund. And there's so many scams out there in that regard, where, in the crypto space, there are a lot of scams too. And if it's your first week in crypto, you don't know what those scams are. I mean, I think everybody's gotten the Nigerian prince email at this point, but
Yes.
we don't know those scams that are in crypto because it's such a new space. And so, from a third party perspective, the exchange is your third party. They're your vetted, they're your trusted thing. Hardware wallet, those are valid if they're from reputable vetted sources. Hardware wallet allows you access to your funds. But outside of that, third party stuff, it's not a safe bet. You stay with the exchange, you stay on the blockchain, and you learn how to move and how to manage your own funds, or they stay on the exchange until you're ready.
Perfect. And so, how do mnemonic phrases and QR codes assist with the security aspect of these wallets?
So, we've talked about mnemonic phrases before. I cannot overstress the importance of backing up mnemonic phrases, maybe keys, depending on what you have. So, a mnemonic phrase is it's literally just a string of words. Now, these words are not random. There are actual words that are pre-selected out of a group, and then the very last word of that phrase is kind of a checksum. It balances and makes sure all the words are in their right place. So that mnemonic phrase, people think, "Oh, a mnemonic phrase," because I've seen them before when I've set up an account. It gave me a bunch of words and I wrote them down. They think that one mnemonic phrase is one wallet, but that one mnemonic phrase is billions with a B, billions of wallets on so many different networks: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, Stellar, all the different networks. You have a massive amount of wallets. So we talked about hardware wallets. When you first open up a hardware wallet, it's going to give you a mnemonic phrase that you back up. You write that down. That is the most important thing. With that phrase, you can get everything back. With that phrase, you also have access to all of the funds that are stored in those accounts. So it's very dangerous if it gets leaked out, but it's also very easy to manage if you keep it and you keep it safe. So you take that mnemonic phrase and you write it down and you store it in a safe, maybe a safe deposit box, depending on on what you feel is safe, maybe taking half the numbers and splitting it. But those mnemonic phrases are mathematically would generate all of your wallets, all of your keys, your private keys, your public keys, all of that. The QR codes are easy ways of being able to reference accounts, because crypto accounts can be very long, 30, 40, 50 characters long, alphanumeric, capital letters, lowercase, numbers. It'd be like us talking, and every time you want to say someone's name, it's saying their social security number, their birth date, their phone number, and the address where they grew up, right? We're gonna mess up at some point. And so if you mess up and you put the wrong capital letter, or you put lowercase instead of uppercase, the money's gone and there's no recourse. So a QR code allows for easy way of getting that data moved around, and hardware wallets use them as well to transmit data from the wallet to the phone, so that the wallet itself is never on the internet. So QR codes assist in moving data back and forth very cleanly and easily, so that you can safely send data or send crypto.
Perfect. So very, very quickly, can you please talk about what platform you would recommend as being the most dynamic and user-friendly, and what it is you're most excited about discussing for the next episode for part 3?
Dynamic and friendly. Binance is a great one to start. Kraken and Gemini. Those are I have a bunch of them. I'm constantly on Kraken and I'm constantly on Binance to do things. Binance, if you wanted to, ACH money every 2 weeks from your paycheck, there's no fees to put money in. So if you're someone that wants to get their feet wet every paycheck, I'd like to send $100 in. Binance.us is the place to go. If you are more of a seasoned trader, want to get into crypto, and you want to wire $100,000 in, Kraken and Gemini are probably your places to go as far as that's concerned. You can do a lot. It's all about what you as an individual want to trade. I have them all just because I jump around depending on what exactly I wanted to do at the time. And as far as what I'm interested in talking about, the job in infrastructure out there in crypto needs developers. There are so many jobs out there that pay nicely, 200, 300, 400 k a year to do these things. And so we'll be talking about some of the job opportunities out there, what we Blue Ocean, what we're going to be doing, some of the tokens that we're creating, and kind of the things that we want to do, and how that's all gonna play out to the crypto sphere.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of information. I am so excited about part 3 of this 3-part series of cryptocurrency. I'm sure our audience has learned so much. I know for me, it was just such a foreign concept. And, you have walked us through this and really allowed us to kind of wrap our heads about how it is that this works, what the landscape looks like, and what tools exist to help navigate us through the process of purchasing, managing, and trading cryptocurrency.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to train, help, and assist people in getting started. It's an emerging market that people will be involved in. You don't really have a choice. It's going to happen. It's going to come to you. You don't have to go wait for it. It will be there. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. So the sooner the better. You put your investment. What you can afford to lose, but jump in there and see what happens. We talked about Kraken, Gemini, and there's so many opportunities out there to allow people to invest and get a head start in some of the fun adventures that await.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us today, Ben. So for everyone listening today, don't forget to look for us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out on scbr.com, and don't forget to download the free live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. I also want to invite all of my listeners to a great upcoming event on Thursday, June 9th at Red Hill Country Club in Rancho Cucamonga. It will be Beauty, Bubbles, and Bites, a ladies' night out to benefit the Hope Through Housing Foundation, an organization that is dedicated to breaking the cycle of generational poverty by implementing programs that empower individuals and change communities. They deliver services and support low-income residents within national core apartment communities aimed at building bright futures, creating pathways to economic empowerment, and building connections to care for seniors. For information, please call Alyssa Cotter at 909-204-3888 3446. Again, that's 909-204-3446. And don't miss my interview with Nicolas, the quintessential entrepreneur with a major focus in the sectors of financial planning, fundraising, real estate development, and specializing in veterans' job and housing opportunities. Under the Blue Division Ventures umbrella, he has launched the HEMP initiative, which stands for Help Employ Military Personnel. This foundation acts as a resource prism for veterans to be able to acquire certifications to gain increased income opportunities, job opportunities, housing, health, and their complete military benefit resources. Nicolas is a true native son of California whose roots go back to the early 1700s in his hometown of Pasadena, California. His grandmother, Eulalia Perez de Guillen, 8 generations back, is memorialized at the San Gabriel Mission, the second mission ordained in California. He attended Cal Poly Pomona for his undergrad, majoring in architecture and urban planning and minoring in economics. He is currently completing a core graduate degree at Harvard Business School. Nicolas has a genuine desire to help others reach their goals, with his motto being, "I would rather create a tide which raises all ships." He plays ice hockey and loves old school hip hop and both jazz and Latin jazz, but one of his favorite pastimes is spending time with his nephew, 3 nieces, and 4 godchildren. He also serves on the UCLA Scholarship Foundation, Cal State San Bernardino, Black Chamber of Commerce, the Unforgettables Foundation, Miracle and Dreams Foundation, NIFA, Caramel Connection Foundation as well. Next week, we will have Ruben Hernandez, founder, acting president, and executive director of Veterans Housing Alliance, a nonprofit whose mission is to work with U.S. military service members and veterans. The goal is to provide resources, assistance, and affordable, sustainable housing options, so do not miss it. We will see you next week.
This has been the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker on KMET 1490 AM